As an athlete, every time you walk into the gym, whether you're an Olympic lifter, a CrossFitter, a hockey player, or you're just doing this for recreational purposes, you have one purpose, and that purpose is to improve yourself over and above what you were and how fit you were the day before. As an athlete, as you kind of hit those plateaus, things get a little bit more challenging, and you tend to kind of go after your diet, try to change your programming, but one thing that many people forget about is mobility, or the range of motion that they have, which is why this week on BlendedTV, we've got David Crawford, a level 2 fascial stretch therapist, in to talk about the benefits of FST. We also, before the show started, took a little break and we went and visited him for some treatment. So we got a little video for you to start it off. Treatment by David Crawford, a fascial. Hey guys, just about to get a treatment by David Crawford, a fascial stretch therapy treatment. Looking to see what sort of new range of motion that I can get out of my shoulders here tonight with David. So let's see what we can do.
So just relax as much as you can. We're gonna let it drop. Big air in and out.
All right, just finished the session with David, and we worked on my left arm. So new range of motion through my left arm. Feels awesome. Like a huge difference between my right and my left arm right now. So anything that I'd be doing overhead right now. Welcome to BlendedTV. This week we've got David Crawford joining us, level 2 fascial stretch therapist, and I've also got a co-host this week, Brad Elliott. Obviously I was not able to do the job well enough, so we brought someone on that would do less talking. David, thanks for coming on to the show tonight. We really appreciate it. One of the things here that we're trying to accomplish with BlendedTV is to share with local Haligonians, people throughout Atlantic Canada, the different services that are available to us from experts like David that will help us improve our health, our wellness, and our fitness. So tonight we're going to talk about how the body moves. Okay. I think the first question we've got to ask is, what is fascial stretch therapy?
Yeah, so fascial stretch therapy, like the name entails, is dealing with the muscle fascia. So the muscle fascia is the connective tissue that kind of separates the muscles and the organs. It's like a sheet of skin underneath the skin. The best analogy that I know of to kind of make a comparison for it is to think of kind of like the shirt you're wearing, right? So when we look at how the body moves and how things, range of motion and how the body reacts, we want to look at, what's causing restrictions, what's causing things to be tight, to not move well. So instead of just looking specifically at the area, we want to take a look at the whole body and get an idea of maybe the problems coming from somewhere else. So just like with a shirt, we might be having a shoulder problem and it's not moving too well. We might think it's coming from the shoulder, and it might very well be, but we want to look at the whole body and think, well, if something's happening in the hip, it's kind of pulling us down and it's keeping us restricted. And if we can release that area, then we can increase our range of motion and improve the health of the joints and the capsules.
So when someone comes to see you, say with a shoulder injury, how do you assess that? Like, do you go to the shoulder first, or do you move to, like you said, because it may be something that's not specifically due to the shoulder, do you start somewhere different?
Well, I mean, if they have kind of like a specific region that they know is, whether it's acute or overuse injury, it kind of makes it easier to kind of be like, all right, well, maybe let's start with this area, see if we can get it moving, see if we can address it specifically here, and then if after the treatment we're noticing that it's getting better, but maybe there's a little bit more we can get out of it, then we can look somewhere else and be like, okay, well, maybe there are restrictions elsewhere throughout the body that are keeping it from being optimal and optimizing the range of motion and the health of the joint.
Yeah. So I feel like for most people, including myself until about a few years ago, I mean, I didn't really know what fascial stretch therapy was. So, I mean, in saying that, for everyone who's watching, if you have any questions specifically to do with fascial stretch therapy, this is an interactive show, so be sure to comment or ask any sort of questions, and we can get those questions over to David right here live on the show. So, going back to it, David, I mean, fascial stretch therapy, where, from a perspective of like the general person, what's the difference between what you do and what like people perceive from like a massage therapist and a physiotherapist? I mean, what's the difference?
There's very similar things and aspects between all of them, and they work together in very good ways. Massage generally deals more with the sympathetic nervous system. It's a lot of getting in there, digging into the tissue, releasing, applying pressure, and getting that kind of that sort of response of like ooh and whereas
the pain.
Yeah, getting a little bit more. You'll get a little bit more pain with a deep tissue massage, right?
Yeah.
Really trying to get in there and release it. The difference between that and fascial stretch is more about the parasympathetic nervous system. So it's we're trying to relax, and we're trying to get into more of I like to think of it kind of like assisted yoga, where it's just like you're breathing deep, you're focusing, you're just kind of letting yourself go, and by relaxing, we're able to get more of a stretch out of the, if we're doing the shoulder or if we're trying to do the hip and open them up. And also what fascial stretch does is it uses what's called PNF, or proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation, which is basically like you push. So I would say push against. So like what we're doing with your shoulder, right? Yeah. I'm circumducting the shoulder, trying to get, try to relax the system, trying to get movement through the shoulder. And then what I'm asking you to do is to pull your shoulder up into my palms, to give it that little bit of resistance. And then as you exhale and relax, I'm able to lean back and just get deeper into that stretch than what you'd be able to get with, with a band or that sort of thing. And then basically we're doing that with the whole body and really trying to open up all the joints and the capsules.
Yeah, I definitely found that like FST, abbreviation for it, is certainly significantly more relaxing than most massages that I have. Or like if you tuned in last week and saw me get beat up by Warren Hefford, this is kind of a different way to approach it. So it's a little bit more relaxing, but I mean the results are pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as an athlete, if I'm looking to get into an overhead position, so with any sort of weightlifting and stuff, I mean, being able to get into a better position is going to make me stronger. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, when we look at this as a whole, when do you think that, as an athlete, like when do you think that people should be getting this sort of treatment? Or is it a continuous thing?
It's continuous. It also depends on the person. Just like any physical treatment, everybody responds differently. With fascial stretch, it depends on how much you're able to, relax in the session too, right?
Yeah.
If someone is very, very guarded or very stressed, sometimes it takes a little bit longer, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to get into that relax, letting go, and people really like to hold on. So, so everyone responds differently. When it comes to timing for treatment, like some people find that before a workout, it's great because, especially something like Olympic lifting, where we're trying to, get that shoulder range of motion. We're trying to get that good lockout position. If we're tight, it's a very hard position to get into, and we can risk, tearing or damage to the shoulder. So fascial stretch would be great for people kind of going into a workout, but it's also good after a workout, because after someone's worked out, their muscles are, the blood's flowing and circulating, everything's kind of already stretched out from the workout. So now we can take that person and get even more movement.
Yeah.
So really it's up to the person. Some people find it, for someone like a power lifter, if they were going into a competition, they might not want to get a treatment like right before the competition, because if they're used to a certain level of tightness, like they're used to being able to only get to a certain depth in their squat, and all of a sudden now they have more range of motion in their hips and they get a little bit lower than their body's used to, that might be a little bit more of an issue for that person, but generally before or after workout is beneficial.
It was the exact same question actually that Adam had kind of typed in and asked at the same time. So what about rest days? Like, is there a preferred way, or is it just really dependent?
Rest days.
Like, would you get treated on a rest day? Would that be ideal?
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's, yeah, like, I don't see that being a problem, because I mean, really when it comes to mobility, any sort of mobility you can pretty much do any day if you're trying to, and for recovery purposes, it would definitely be a good procedure to try to open everything up, and then that way the next day we've flushed out all the system, and the body's moving well, and then when you go to work out, you're not going to feel as sore and stiff. So for sure it would work.
You've gone through a treatment, Brad.
Yeah.
What was your experience?
I've been through a few FST treatments, and I've never spent as much time with anyone else as you did. You actually worked on my hip for a full hour, and I thought it was incredible. And like we spoke about before, the next day is when you really feel it. Mm-hmm. And which was also interesting too, because you told me when you break up the fascia, it's not uncommon to feel like a little off for a little while at the beginning. Could you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, just like I said, like, everyone responds differently to the treatment. I know for myself, like I'm very, tight through the shoulders, tight through the hips. So when some people, like, right when they get off the table, like, they just immediately feel that difference. Like, if I do one leg and then another, like, they'll get off, and often what I hear is people say, man, this feels like there's like nothing here. It feels like air, and this one feels like a tree trunk that's just like, clunking around. And so that's often something that almost instantly people feel like a release of the tissue there. Some people, it's a little bit more delayed. So it all depends on the person. I know for me, I don't necessarily feel a huge difference maybe when I get off the table, but it's then when I go to like do something, so say maybe next day I want to do deadlifts or I want to do squat, and a position, it might be difficult normally for me to get into position for either of those movements. Then all of a sudden I'm like, wow, this isn't even a problem. I'm not feeling any discomfort. I'm not feeling any pain. Like, I can actually push myself to as far as I want to go. Because as an athlete, it's frustrating whenever you have more in you, and there's more you can do. And if you can't get there, it's like, you feel kind of defeated after the workout. So the goal of this is to make sure that whenever you do work out, you're always going 100%, and you're always hitting those PRs and doing the best you can.
So what about with injuries? So, I mean, is it best to come see you if, say, I injured my shoulder, or is it best for me to come see you if I'm looking to increase my athletic potential?
Once again, you could look at it as both. Now with the injury for someone like me, some of it's out of my scope of practice in terms of being able to necessarily say this is what is wrong, right? So what I like to do is if someone works with a physio or works with someone, they can get that information and bring it to me and say like, okay, it's safe for me to do stretching and to do mobility work. If someone like has just recently dislocated their shoulder or something, some of the stretches and some of the movements, if it's a fresh injury, could put a lot of pressure on that, and more than what we want, because we don't want to get that pain, we don't want to get that negative feedback. So for me, when it comes to injury, I want someone to come in and say, I have permission from my doctor, from a physio, saying mobility is okay to do, we're not going to risk anything with it.
So what about rehab? So say you've gone through an injury, you've been treated already, right? And now you're in a rehab process. So a lot of the times, more often than not, when someone injures themselves, you lose range of motion. We lose range of motion. There was a stat that it was like you lose 10% of your range of motion every 10 years you're alive. So by 100, you have no range of motion.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
You have way more than me too.
Yeah, exactly. So from a rehab perspective, it can be extremely beneficial to kind of go through these sort of sessions with you in order to become back to, or get back to the level that you were at.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So with rehabbing, is it any different than what it would be with someone who's just looking to elevate their potential?
Yeah, when it comes to rehabbing, once again, it's like, you kind of get that feeling that you're only as strong as your weakest link, right? So it kind of that funnel process of like everything else might be working great, but it's just that one thing that's holding you back from reaching that potential. So with this, it's trying to see if we can get that new range of motion, if we can kind of help to heal up whatever's going on, like allowing for better circulation through the joints, through the muscles. That will help to heal faster. It will help with recovery rates, and then and just getting that new range of motion when it comes to working out. You're going to be safer and you're going to be far more efficient and effective in your workout.
Yeah.
You already answered a lot of the questions I had for you, but I know FST was first developed for athletes, especially ones in their prime. Like I've seen a lot of NFL guys get worked on, and NBA players get worked on.
I think both quarterbacks for the last Super Bowl both had fascial stretch therapists that were dealing with them. So
I seen Barkley on the table. It was hilarious. So
Charles Barkley.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Mike Tyson's done it too.
Yeah, a lot of guys are doing it now. So. I mean, you already answered this a little bit, but if I'm a local CrossFitter watching this right now, and I've been doing trigger point therapy and joint distraction, if those things really aren't if it's not really working well for me, then what would you recommend? Like, what benefits would I see as a CrossFitter if I came to see you? Like, would that be good for anybody or just the elite athletes?
I mean, it's great. It's great for everybody because especially. So if you're doing something like CrossFit and say your daily routine is you're sitting in a chair, right? Like you're at the office and you're getting ready, you want to come to work out. So sitting in a chair, our shoulders and neck get tight, our hips get tight, and everything kind of falls forward, and we're already in a very negative position for something that requires a lot of overhead moving, a lot of squatting and being able to get into an open position. So it's great for the athlete that wants that extra bit, that extra push, that extra whatever it is to get them to that next level. And it's also great for your average person who, if they're looking to get, even if it's just feeling better throughout the day, regardless of working out, but then especially with working out, if they want to be safe and efficient in the workout, then the stretching really does help in that respect. I
mean, I had you on BlendedTV kind of right out of the gate in episode 2.
Yeah.
And we went through upper and lower cross syndrome. So I mean, for those people like desk jockeys, people that are weekend warriors, but they spend their week in a desk, this is going to be something that could change their lives. Because I mean, most of these people have major back pain, a lot of neck pain, and your treatment's going to help that, right? Like FST is something that's been proven time and time again to be really beneficial with people who have sore lower backs and necks, right?
Oh yeah, it's great. I mean, I know from personal experience, just with the bangs you get with working out and putting yourself under heavy weights and strain. I found I've pretty much tried most physical treatments and physical therapies, and I know for myself, fascial stretch has been probably one of the best, if not the best, for me, because it really does focus on trying to just reset the joints, reset the capsules, like setting the shoulders in proper position, setting the hips in a proper position, and really hitting everything and realizing that there's a number of different ways we can approach an issue and get those results, and I feel it really does work well that way.
Yeah, good. Well, I got a little bit of a rapid fire session for you. All right. So as I ask you these questions, you just gotta give me the first answer that comes to your head. Are you ready for this?
I suppose.
Let's let people get to know you, because I mean, one thing that people may not know is that you are a fascial stretch therapist and you treat out here at Blended, but you're also a personal trainer.
Yeah.
So between those two services, people can find you here at Blended pretty much all day long, and they can get help in either areas. So to get people to know you a little bit better, you got to answer these questions for me. You ready?
All right.
Deadlift, squat, or bench press?
Squat.
Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton?
Oh, jeez. Pass.
Fair, that's a good choice. Batman or Superman?
Batman.
Chips or chocolate?
Although where I used to work, my nickname was Clark Kent because I'd walk around with my glasses. And I'd have
Yeah,
like
I
my
can
haircut.
see the resemblance.
So I got the Clark Kent one, but Batman is my favorite. So I know.
You and Mike Blakey.
It's too late. You said Batman. It's too late.
No, Batman is the best.
Chips or chocolate?
Chocolate.
And Zumba or body pump?
Body pump.
Body
I
pump.
knew it.
All right, David, how can people get a hold of you and get in and see you for either a fascial stretch therapy session or for personal training?
You can contact Blended Athletics, of course. You can come in, talk to me. You can, I believe my email is now set up, so it's
David Crawford at
or
Blended.
D Crawford.
D. Crawford.
D Crawford at BlendedAthletics.com. And I think that's basically it. I'm eager and open to any questions, or if anyone wants, to demo a little bit of stuff just to like get a feel for it, if it's something that they think can work for them. So just catch me and ask me what you want.
Fantastic. Thanks for coming on the show tonight.
Thank you. That's great.
All right, guys, that's a wrap again for this week. A little bit something different. So if you want to try some fascial stretch therapy, be sure to come and contact us at Blended Athletics or drop by, and we can help you out from there. Thanks again for tuning in this week. We'll see you again next week.